Magruder in the left slot. Hill, right side, hit at the line of scrimmage, tries to keep going. Does he get in? No sit, touchdown, Midway. Oh my! That took forever.
The Midway Weekly Podcast is brought to you by Bentwood Realty, Bird Culchin Ford, Bubba's 33, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. Now here's David Smoak.
And it's week number 9. Week number 9 of 11 regular season weeks. And of course, Midway plays in every one of the first 10 weeks. Their off week is the first weekend in November. Then they hope they'll be back for a playoff game if they can take care of their business. We're now joined by Shane Anderson, Midway football coach, who joins us every week to discuss the Panthers coming off the win at Copperas Cove. Very dramatic win that started out like a blowout and ended up being very, very competitive. But the key is, no matter your record, you control your own destiny and still do.
Absolutely, and that's all you can ask for at this time of year. And, like everybody knows, like we've talked about every week, played a very, very tough non-district schedule. And, I think it prepared us for district, come out with a win against Hutto, dropped that close from the Harker Heights, got blown out by Temple, and then got back on the win column last week. And so, we do control our own destiny with 2 left.
So you have this week, Bryan, again, Coach Tullis is a championship coach with what he did at George Ranch. He was good at Pearland, wherever he's been. They are big. Now they're 4-3, just lost to Weiss pretty badly. But they are a huge football team. How does that match up with what you do?
They're big up front. Probably not as big as Vandergrift, but they're big kids up front. Kind of reminds me of an old Waco High University type offensive line. Some big, strong kids. And then they have athletes all over the field. And then defensively, they fly around, run a 3-3 stack like we do on defense. And so, like you mentioned, Coach Tullis has won everywhere he's been. It's taken him some time at places, and it goes all the way back to when he was in Cleveland. A little 3A Cleveland, yep. And last week they jumped in the slot T for a series, and I told him on Sunday, I said, hey, man, we can't be jumping in that slot T. He said, that takes me back to my Cleveland days. So, he and I are good friends once again, and members of the TXHSFB board of directors together, and, just a great ball coach.
Well, you mentioned that, and you guys are friends. When you have a coach that you know really well, and you've known some of these guys and the ones you've coached against, how do you know if they're trying to feed you something and you may be trying to feed them something?
Well, you don't really, I'll tell you, one of the best ones out there at filling you full of bull is Alan Hare, that's at Chaparral.
Was that Salado now at Chaparral?
When we were in the league together, when he was at Salado and I was at Conley, he was one, he even turned a bank of lights out on us one night in Salado, and then we went home and come back the next day and the field was flooded. So, he's one of the best ones at it. But like I said, all these guys, at the end of the day, the coach of fraternity is a brotherhood. Mm-hmm. And you got to understand, and people need to understand that coaches and their families go through a tremendous sacrifice to spend more time with everybody else's kids than they do their own. And we know what it is. We signed up for it. It's a calling. But at the same time, it's a brotherhood. And for 48 minutes, we'll be enemies. And then after the game, we'll hug each other's neck, just like Tony and I did last week.
Earlier this week, I do a high school football podcast as well, and I interviewed Geyer's Reed Heim, and he was talking to his wife from Hallsville, and, of course, he has grown up. He's been 11. He's coached in 5 different states, and now the head coach at a great school in Geyer, a great program. And I asked him about coaches' wives. So I know how important yours is. I've talked about her before. You're very public on Twitter. Your eyes are watering up as I ask you about how special are coaches' wives?
They're very special. It's a deal. It's one of those things where, they have to hold it down. And the last couple of years, my last 2 at Conley, and then since I've been at Midway, we've been a morning practice team. And not to change the subject, but that helps tremendously. To practice in the morning when we get up early and we get it done, and then we lift and stuff. But every evening we're home by about 6:30 at the latest, and so that's nice when you have kids. If you can get the kids to buy into the morning practice stuff, so that helps. But, yeah, my wife's one of the best. Not only is she a coach's wife, she's a kindergarten teacher, so that in itself's a calling. I deal with, a lot of stress and a lot of moving pieces throughout the week and on Friday night, but I don't know if I could deal with 22 kindergartners on a daily basis without losing my cool. But, she's a special person, and like I said, we have a bunch of special coaches' wives on our staff.
All right, let's go back to this week, Bryan, but let's touch on Copperas Cove. Man, the first quarter of that game reminded me of some of the good old days. I mean, you were dominating them. They were struggling. Their penalties really added up. Field position was all your favor, and you've battled that sometimes the last couple of years against you. Dominant first quarter, and then all of a sudden that game flipped, and you started having penalties. But in the end, no matter what, you guys made some stops. You converted on fourth down. You won the game, and you continue, because I don't know where you would be this week had you not won that game against Cove. You would no longer control your own destiny. How proud were you of just getting out of there with the win?
Very proud, extremely proud of our kids and our coaches. Like you said, it started off, and it was a feeling like, hey, we're fixing to, run these boys off the field, and tribute to Cove and Coach Johnson's crew. I mean, they just kept fighting. We gave them the ball on the 30 with the turnover, and then we had the muff punt, and that's part of the game. You don't want it. Turnovers have kind of been our bugaboo all year, and hasn't helped, in the overall record and overall picture. But at the same time, it's part of the game. It happens, for the kids to shake it, get to halftime with the lead, and then come out and win the second half. Just very, very proud of, our defense bowed their neck, and then, like I mentioned earlier this week too, Reed Tedford came through for us. And so, that was huge for Reed, for his confidence, for the team's confidence in him. And I think it'll pay dividends, over the next few weeks.
Yeah, because he's handled this. We've discussed it a couple of different times. In fact, I think I saw somebody put up on Twitter some video of when Donovan Jones had the fumble recovery and Reed's jump. He's already 6'7", so you're going to see him. But he just launched himself in the air. And that was great to see a big play in a big moment. Terran Lowrance, you mentioned the muff punt, tough time, and then he comes back and he catches the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, Terran's a competitor, and like I said, muff punts happen. You're going to see them on Friday, you're going to see them on Saturday, you'll see them on Sunday. Yep. It's part of the game, and you got to hope that it doesn't cost you the game at the end, but at the same time, for those kids to battle and keep their focus and keep their composure. And once again, the old coach in me just wants to go back, and I think it's a tribute to the tough non-district schedule. I think it's a tribute to the adversity that they've been through over the last couple seasons, and they understand that, look, it's up to you. You have to go make the play. You have to go win the game. They're not going to do it for you, and you got to put your big boy pants on, and you got to find a way to get it done, and we did. And like you said, we put ourselves at 2-2 in district, and control our own destiny.
Homecoming week. Any distractions with that?
No, I hope not. Like I said, something I stole from Coach Gamble when I worked for him was, it's not our job's to win the game. Our job's not to get caught up in the homecoming festivities. I want the kids to enjoy it. We have dress-up days every day. It's fun to watch the kids walk in the morning, and, today was Adam Sandler Day. And so whatever that means, I guess dress like a hobo. But, they came in this morning, and, it's fun. All of them get into it, and, and then, but at the same time, when we go out to practice, they got to focus up. When we go in the weight room after school today, when we go into position meetings, they've got to focus up. And then we'll have a big pep rally tonight, community pep rally at the stadium. I want them to enjoy that. I want them to, because those are high school memories. We all remember those memories from high school, and I want our kids to. But at the same time, our job is to win the football game Friday night, and that's going to be the memory that they remember the most.
Shane, the young man and homecoming's about a lot of different things. It's about all the different parts of the atmosphere of high school football, the band, the cheerleaders, and all of that. The goaltenders, all that stuff. Just watching the season go by. Yeah, you've had some tough games. You've had some games where you just didn't show up, or they were just much better than you. But one of the things I've learned over the years, and this is, I think, my 42nd year of doing high school football since 1981, it is a routine. What you do Sunday is what you do Sunday, and what you do Monday is what you do Monday, and especially since all of your games are Friday games, it does, even though it's a grind, and I know it's a grind even for me, and I know what it is for a coach. Does it make it go by faster because pretty much every day is the same for what you hope is 17 weeks?
Well, I think it depends on the season you're having. When you have a bad season, it doesn't go by fast enough. And then when you have a really good season, you look up and it goes by extremely fast. And I tell our seniors every year, and this is my 18th year doing this and 8th year as a head coach. And so, they seem, the older you get, the more you do it, the faster they seem to go. And I just tell our seniors, don't have any regrets. You're going to look up and it's all going to be over. And, one of the things we keep talking about is we're guaranteed 2 more, we're looking for 3. We're guaranteed 2 more, we're looking for 3. Last week it was we're guaranteed 3, we're looking for 4. And so just keeping that focus and helping them understand that if they'll just go out there and take care of business Friday night, that they give themselves a really, really good chance of being a playoff football team.
To put it in perspective, last year at this time, there was you had another game. It was over. You knew that. I mean, you guys were in that sledgehammer of a district, and it was just you were fighting uphill, and you had the game against Lake Ridge, which was a shootout at the end. You lost the game. It was a fun memory because of all the numbers. It was crazy, but you knew last year who you were going up against. Is this team, have they been for the most part drama-free? There's going to be things when you have that many young men in your program, but for the most part, has this been a pretty good group?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it starts with having a full year with them, off-season expectations. They know my expectations. They know how I am. I love to poot and giggle and have a good time with anybody, off the field. But when we cross that line, it's all business. And it's a business for 18, 16, 20 periods, however many periods we have scripted for practice. And then when it's over, it's over. And we're hugging each other's neck and cutting up and jacking around in the locker room together. And, and that's what makes this profession great. And as you get to influence young men, on a daily basis in a positive way. If they're not having a great day, you're the guy that can pick them up. And if they're having if they get too high on their horse and they think they're a little bit too big for their britches, you can bring them back down. And just like your dad did to you and my dad did to me. And so we try to play that role and just be around them. But this group has done a really nice job, and I think it's a tribute to our 4 team captains, Dom Hill, Reed Tedford, Garrett Morphus, and Adrian Melvin. Sometimes I think you can have too many team captains. Last year was our first year coming in. We were just there for the summer. We had a whole bunch of guys that, and I really didn't know who needed to be the captain. This year I knew, and the kids, we let the kids vote on it, and they got it right, and, I think that's where it starts.
You had a little, what I call a come to Jesus with a couple of your captains at halftime this past game. And they reacted pretty well to it, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't real happy with the way Reed and Dom handled that turnover. But, like I said, they're 17, 18. I think both of them are probably 18 years old. And, they're old enough to handle, a butt chewing at halftime. And I gave it to them, and I just told them, like, guys, this is your senior year. This is your football team. And if you want to be a playoff football team, we got to go out and win the second half. And they handled it, and, and they did that. And like I said, I think – Dom carried it 38 times on the night and 12 of the 14 plays in that final drive or whatever it was. And then Reed had the big 4th down, picked it up on the scramble and then rolled out to the other side and threw the touchdown a couple plays later. So, I think not that what I said or did at halftime made that difference, but I think it checked them enough to understand they got to go win it.
I got to tell you, because of where we are in the visiting press box at Cove, it's an incredible angle because we're really kind of low to the ground. And, I mean, we were, based on where Paul and I broadcast the game, Craig's on the sideline, we were almost in direct angle of when he let go of that ball because you never try to throw it back in the middle of the field, and Taryn just sitting there. It was perfect. It was great. Right over somebody, I think, and Taryn caught the touchdown. Shane Anderson in Midway, Friday night against Bryan, homecoming night, 7 o'clock is our pregame on Sikkim 365 Radio online, but also on terrestrial radio 106.7 FM, The Eagle. 7 o'clock pregame, 7:30 kick. Midway controls their own destiny, another win, and it looks really good for the possibility of not just 2, but maybe 3. For Shane Anderson, and also thanks to MISD, Midway ISD, I'm David Smoak. Thanks to Jacob Wilson behind the scenes for helping produce and direct what we do. This is the Midway Weekly Coaches Show on 365 Sports. Magruder in the left slot. Hill, right side, hit at the line of scrimmage, tries to keep going. Does he get in? No sit, touchdown, Midway. Oh my! That took forever.
The Midway Weekly Podcast is brought to you by Bentwood Realty, Bird Culchin Ford, Bubba's 33, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.